Welcome back to class. I'm Coach Nye. Welcome back to Trinity of Fitness Boot Camp. Today's class is about who am I? The identity reset. So in this lesson is all about rebuilding your identity from truth instead of pain. Many people are still living from old versions of themselves shaped by the trauma, labels, or survival roles. Healing begins when you separate who you are from what happened to you. So let's go ahead and get into it. First topic is separating identity from trauma. Trauma can shape your behaviors, but it is not your identity. You are not your mistakes, your past relationships, your pain, or experiences. The labels people put on you, you're none of those things. That is not your DNA. Trauma influences how you respond. It does not define who you are becoming. Identity reset begins when you stop saying, "This is who I am," and start saying, "This is what I went through." Remember, what you went through is not your DNA, it's not your identity. Okay, so let's get into number 2, reclaiming your true self. Reclaiming your identity means returning to the version of you that exists beneath the fear, survival, and conditioning. This involves you questioning the belief that you accepted without choice, letting go of the labels that limit your growth, reconnecting with your values, your voice, and your desires, and choosing who you want to become moving forward. Your true self is not created, it is uncovered. Your true authentic self. Getting there, all you have to do is heal. You have been you the entire time, but in survival mode, you were taught to be whatever your values and morals were in that family, for what society, this physical world, needed of you. But your true self does not have to be created. So healing is not creating a new person, it's just uncovering the real you that's underneath all of what the world put on you. So, number 3, understanding roles versus essence. So, in life, we take on roles, but the roles are not our identity. Let me give you some example of roles: caregiver, worker, parent, survival, people pleaser, protector. But your essence is deeper. It's your character, your values, your purpose, your inner truth. Roles can change, essence remains the same. Healing happens when you stop confusing what you do with who you are. Now let's look at the identity statement. Let's break this down. So this will teach you the way you speak about yourself shapes how you believe and behave. So instead of saying I am broken, you can say I am healing. I am anxious. No, say I am learning to manage my emotions. I always fail. Say I am going through experiences. Identity statements help rewire that pattern so that your brain can support your healing instead of reinforcing old narratives. So you are not your past, you are your potential. Your future is not limited by what you've already lived through. That's not all of you. Identity is who you are and not what happened. Experiences shape you, but they do not define your true self. You have to believe that what you went through, that is not your DNA. You're allowed to redefine yourself. Growth requires permission to change, evolve, and release the old labels. But you have to want that. You have to want to make that change, uncover the true, authentic you. So I'm going to give us a couple of exercises. As always, I like to give the mental, spiritual, and the physical exercise that you can do, practices that you can do for inner healing. Everywhere you meet me at, you will always get inner healing work. So the mental exercise, I want you to identify one harmful identity belief. Let's do an example. I'm too broken. And I want you to rewrite it into to a truth-based belief. So I'm too broken. I'm not broken at all. I made a mistake. I experienced that, but that's not who I am. Okay? And before I even go any further, as I always say, some things you can't self-heal by yourself. Some things is just you can't. But that's what therapy is for. So find you a therapist to help you work out those inner child traumas that you had. That's the root of your different emotional pains and trauma. So yeah, it's always good to get a therapist. Now, for your physical exercise, I want you to power pose for 60 seconds. This is when you plant your feet and you lift your chest. Now, I'm not saying boast your chest out. What I'm showing you is in a power pose, it shows confidence. So I want you to look at, I don't even like Superman does the power pose, but he's so, strong with it. Let's look at Wonder Woman. So let me break it down. Hers is still feminine, but it's not so powerful, but you can tell she has the confidence. But it's not so strong, right? But in most and I'm talking about cartoons here. In most cartoons, they always show the villain with more of a stronger pose, right? And as you can see, they're always the least powerful up against the people that's confident. So that power pose is not to show someone that you're bigger or better. The power pose is the confidence. You standing with the confidence, your feet planted, meaning that you feel the ground beneath you, your chest lifted, meaning you're allowing yourself to breathe in and out. You're focusing on your breathing, right? What you're doing is grounding. But you're in your confidence. So that's pretty much what a power pose is. So I want you to do that for 60 seconds. And then your soul exercise, I want you to ask, who am I without fear? Who am I without fear? Write the first words that come to mind. The first words. Okay? Now, your declaration, I want you to repeat after me. I am becoming who I truly am. I am becoming who I truly am. And then I'm going to give you 2 journaling prompts. What labels do I need to remove from my identity? What labels do I need to remove from my identity? And who am I when I am not performing for approval? Who am I when I am not performing for approval? And for your homework, I want you to write your new identity statement. Here's an example. I am worthy, powerful, and evolving. That's an example. And then I have discussion questions. Either you can put it in the comments or you can just have a conversation with your friends. I call this tabletop talk, TOP, tabletop talk. This is when you break up the old conversations, right, and start bringing healing conversations in without forcing healing on others. So one question you can ask is, what false identity have you been operating from? What false identity have you been operating from? And then what new identity are you claiming? What new identity are you claiming? Okay, so that's what I want you guys to focus on. Now, for this whole week, just focus on that and just reflect. I always give homework because I want you to be so focused on you. You don't have time for any of the nonsense. In order to grow and be the person that God called you to be, you have to learn to stay in your energy. And in your energy, that means you're minding your business and you're focusing on growing and operating your purpose. So if you have not downloaded the podcast, go ahead, download it, and don't miss out on your every morning. I'm doing a daily reflection just to get your day started, maybe to help you start your intentions. It's no more than a minute, maybe a minute and a half of me giving you what it is that you can focus on today so you can do the inner work. Also, if you want more teaching, I have some in the podcast, but I also house them over on my YouTube. So I have a lot of playlists over on my YouTube. My YouTube is Chat with Coach Nye. And ladies, if you want a leadership course, and even the men, they come over to my leadership course. On TikTok, I go every weekday morning and I teach the Lead Her Movement morning show. And I teach a leadership course there. All I ask is, man, if you decide to come, that's great. Just be mindful and respectful because I can't kick you out. Be mindful and respectful of the women because they're vulnerable there and we chit chat, okay? So my TikTok is Chat with Coach Nye. And ladies, if you're looking for a community, an environment, tribe-like community, then go ahead and subscribe to the Lead Her Movement Network. It is leadhermovement.mn.co. Leadhermovement.mn.co. Also, I do weekly homework and I post it on TikTok. And I also email the homework if you subscribe to my website. My website is tofbootcamp.com. tofbootcamp.com. You can go there and get on the email subscriber list, and I'll email you your homework every Friday, okay? And that'll be your homework for the week. So you guys, if you want it on TikTok, it is Chat with Coach Nye. Go find me there. All my social media is Chat with Coach Nye. My book is at Amazon, Barnes & Noble, and Walmart website. It is a journal. It is Trinity Walk to Self-Love. Everything about me is in my link tree and in my bio. So as always, if no one told you today, I'm telling you now, I love you and I am so proud of you. Remember to pour into yourself before you pour into others. Coach Nye out.